All right, guys, welcome into the AfterSchrock. That was weird. I don't know if the Schrock Innovations compute this. Now this one did it too. I wonder if I don't know what's going on, but like my screen just went completely black, so I can't see questions that are posted. So I'm gonna have to bring it up over here again, and I can't. When I'm done, there's a button that says, "Do you want to save the video?" And I say yes, so it saves it to our feed. But the I don't know if it's gonna save it or not here. So let's see what's going on. It says I'm live now. It says I have two live feeds going at the same time right now. Anyway, all right. So AfterSchrock, welcome in everybody. And if you have questions, feel free to post them. I'll try to do my best to keep up on them there. Today, oh golly, let's see the Lincoln Service Center. First of all, Lincoln Service Center construction is coming along very nicely. My understanding is they during the program, actually, my data wiring guy texted me and I'm like, I'm kind of doing the radio show right now. He could be listening. Maybe he was listening and he was posting that he was listening. They missed the data feed on the wall and there's no boxes, so we pulled the wire. It's up high and ready to go. Okay, I don't know what that means, but we'll figure it out. But yeah, so anyway, the the data wiring is in, the drywall is in. I mean, we are getting really close to go time. We got a hold of our sign guys. We're trying to see if we can move the existing signs that we have and move them to the new location rather than make new signs, because signs are stupid expensive, like $10,000, $15,000 expensive. So we're trying to move the ones we have, which still is expensive. It's still like it's $2,000 or $3,000 to take the sign off the facade and move it to a new place and put it back up. So it's still expensive stuff, but it's less expensive than having everything remade. So we got that going on, and we're dealing with all that stuff. So probably sometime in the next, I don't know, they're telling me 5 weeks to have the whole service center ready to go. But we won't be moving in 5 weeks. So that would mean, sometime in April, or excuse me, in June, and then in July we'd have our big grand opening event. In the grand opening event, the lovely Kimberly is in charge of grand opening operations. She does amazing events, and she hit me with a pearl yesterday about what she has in mind for the current event. Because see, I don't get to choose. So she told me what she was thinking, and it was like, oh dang, that's going to be epic, with a capital E, epic. And how long are we going to run that special? Is it a month? Is that the 20th anniversary special that month, or is it just the grand opening thing, like a weekend only, like a pop-up sale? But it's going to be crazy if we end up doing what I think she's going to do. It's going to be pretty nutso. Okay, Blake, you're asking, do I need an endpoint license for each of my devices? And the answer is yes, you do. That's why they call it endpoint. You need protection on every endpoint on your network. And most people at home don't think about it, the fact that they have a network. But you do. You have a network. You have a router at home. Every cell phone is an endpoint. Every computer is an endpoint. Every TV is an endpoint. Now, they don't make endpoint for TVs yet. Yet. I suppose if the TVs ran Android, they might, but they don't make it for TVs yet, but they will eventually, I'm sure. So, Kimberly's just that weekend. Whew. I was like, I don't know if we can keep up with what you have in mind for a whole month. Oh, man. But at any rate, the construction there is going very well. So I know you're all here because you want to hear about the Swedish Chef. That's why you're really here. So the guy named Thor is going to tell you about the Swedish Chef. And I learned a lot about the Swedish Chef that I didn't know. So, of course, if you're not familiar with the Swedish Chef, the Swedish Chef is a Muppet. He cooks food, he throws food around, and he goes, bork, bork, bork. And he, making the chicken in the book, and he makes all of his food. And see, I'm of Swedish descent, so I can do the Swedish Chef rather well, I would say. My wife tells me I'm very bad at impressions, and I shouldn't, try to do accents or voices or anything. I'm bad at it, but I feel confident that my impression of the Swedish Chef is kick butt. I like it. So my son, he was like, isn't that a Muppet who like throws food up in the air or something? I'm like, yeah, it is. So we bring up this episode of the Swedish Chef making donuts, and he throws the pastry up in the air, and then he takes out a blunderbuss. Yeah, a blunderbuss is like one of those old guns that you have to like stuff the powder in, like a musket handgun kind of thing. But in a blunderbuss, you put whatever's handy in there, forks, knives, whatever you've got laying around on the pirate ship. So he's stuffing all this stuff in his blunderbuss, and he picks up his blunderbuss. He's like, boom, and then the thing falls down with a hole in the middle of it, and he goes, donut. Yay! Like, you could do that now in a kid's cartoon. Oh my gosh. Imagine the uproar. He had a gun. He shot the gun. He blew a hole in a pastry. Oh, pastry lives matter. I mean, it would be bad, right? So you can't do that anymore. But it's funny. It's really funny, right? And so I learned a lot about the Swedish Chef because when I went to pull up a video of the Swedish Chef, I was shocked to find in the search results that the Swedish Chef has his own wiki on Wikipedia. So this huge volume of knowledge of the human race has a very small corner dedicated to the Swedish Chef of all things, okay? So I'm like, what does the Swedish Chef have to say? So I tap on the Swedish Chef, right? And it says controversy is one of the headlines. I'm like, what's controversial about the Swedish Chef? What happened? And of course, they did a lot of things with Muppets in the 90s that were a little risque. Swedish Chef was involved in that. That's a chapter of the Swedish Chef's life will remain unexplored for this conversation. However, I tapped on controversy, and skipping over those things, apparently, people in Sweden really don't like the Swedish Chef. They have a problem with the Swedish Chef. It's not the type of food he makes. The meatballs, it's not the type of food he makes. It's not how he, it's not how he looks. It's not the fact he uses a gun to make a donut. It's the fact that he sounds like a Dane. I'm not making this up. You can look this up on Wikipedia. People in Sweden think the Swedish Chef sounds like a Dane, and they don't like it. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Swedish Chef's words are mostly made up. Now, I don't speak Swedish or Danish, but I'm pretty sure they're mostly made up. But the Swedes say he sounds like a Dane, and that's controversy. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy stuff. So, funny. Watch the Swedish Chef shooting the donut hole on YouTube. Great. I hit the power button on my phone. I put the phone in my pocket, and I walk away. And then, everybody gets their laugh about it, and then we're all quiet again, getting the dishes ready. It was almost time to put kids to bed. We're just going about our lives, doing our thing. And all of a sudden, erupting from my pocket is a volcano of sound. Bork, bork, bork. And you're just like, everyone looks at me and I'm like, what? Oh, that's me? Oh. So YouTube, apparently, when you turn your screen off, it'll keep playing because you might be listening to the audio. And it played like the next Swedish Chef video in line. So yes, the Swedish Chef erupted from I was going to say from my pants, but the lovely Kimberly again, Thor, you might want to say from your pocket instead, because people might get a negative connotation from the Swedish Chef exploding from your pants. See, he's laughing. I mean, he thinks it's funny. The Swedish Chef exploding from your pocket. Yeah, not laughing anymore. You literally stopped laughing. The whole point is to get people to laugh.
I had two to choose from. I went with the funny one.
Oh, golly. All right. Okay, missed you last weekend. I missed you guys too. Has been trying to resolve this issue for the past week. In short, I have 4 devices. 3 of them are seeing the Wi-Fi at speed expected of 300 megabits down and up. Asus All-in-One is only seeing 32 megabits up. Also, I've been through Microsoft support. You're my last hope before a clean install. Any thoughts? Okay, so issues with speed. The thing with your wireless network is placement in the home is important. For example, kitchens are full of Wi-Fi shredding appliances. Almost every single home we install a Wi-Fi in, there's a dead spot in the kitchen. And a lot of times we have to install a repeater in the kitchen to take care of that. The walls opposite the kitchen will have the same dead spots. Sometimes people will say, well, I put this device down right here next to it and this device here, and one device is much faster than the other. There are different types of Wi-Fi adapters, not just wireless N versus wireless G versus wireless AC, but you can actually have multiple antennas. So a single antenna device has a maximum transmission and receiving speed of 150 megabits per second wireless under optimal conditions. If the antenna is loose, disconnected, or not working properly for whatever reason, too short, bad design, whatever, it's going to be much lower than that, like 32. Well, again, enough that you'd be able to use the computer, but not enough that you'd be able to stream Netflix on it for sure. So basically, in the service center, it could also be that your wireless chipset is failing. One of the antennas could have died. And so that's why you're seeing degraded performance. So what we would do in the service center for this is the easiest way to troubleshoot this and the cheapest way for you to troubleshoot it would be a clean install. We would actually take out the hard drive that has everything of yours on it, and we would just put in a blank hard drive. We would install a clean copy of Windows, and we would see what the wireless does. If the problem is still present after a clean install of Windows, that means that the problem is the hardware. It's something in the hardware that's limiting its connectivity. If the problem goes away, we know it's something within Windows, a bad driver, for example, or something that's sapping up your internet speed. So I'm guessing you're doing some kind of an internet speed test to get these numbers. Keep in mind that things are always happening in the background on your computer. Microsoft Windows Update takes 40% of your internet connection. So if it's downloading updates for Endpoint, or for antivirus, or for your antivirus software for Windows, Secure Updater goes off, starts downloading stuff, all those things are taking up speed. So the best thing to do is to leave your computer on for 24 hours before you do the update. Make sure you restart to finish installing any Microsoft updates. Do a check for making sure you have the latest updates for your Endpoint antivirus. Do a check to make sure Secure Updater is current. So there shouldn't be anything at all using the internet. Then run the test again and see what it comes up with. All right, Carolyn, Endpoint for the phone. Is there a solution for those of us who live too far away, Round Rock, Texas, to bring it in? Oh, Carolyn, that's a good question. That's why we were trying to, we're currently experimenting with different connection utilities. The Schrock desk, there's multiple ways, I'm jumping around here, but there's multiple ways that we can get connected with you and your technology to help you fix things. The most recent version of the software that's used by the Schrock desk will allow us to do that, but we're not running the most recent version of the software that you use to power the Schrock desk. Here's why. Back in the day, at the birth of the Schrock desk, we used Cisco's GoToAssist, and they would send us a bill per seat for $300 a quarter, and we had 8 seats, so that we could support up to 8 people simultaneously. That's an expensive quarterly bill for something that is an add-on provider. I mean, we have Schrock desk subscribers, of course, but not enough to justify, you know, what, $2,400 a quarter. That's a lot of money. So then we heard about this thing called Screen Connect, and basically it was a buy it once, and you pay a lot for it. You pay like $1,000 a seat, but you buy it once, and then you own it forever, and you run your own server in your own location, so it's more secure. I'm not dependent on Cisco's servers or cloud tech. It's all inside Schrock, so it's all secure. It's all under our control, and that's what we've been using for years. And we upgraded every time they had an update out. Sometimes you'd have to pay a little bit to keep your service going. We would, because we were saving a lot of money. And then they sold it to another company who took it to the cloud. So now it's no different than GoToAssist. They want to charge per seat. They want to charge a per seat subscription. If we upgrade, we have to go to that model. And if we stay where we're at, we continue to use the Schrock desk the way with what we've already paid for. So now what we're doing is we're trying to see if there is a solution out there that we can use to do just a single seat that would allow us to remote into iPhones and Android phones over the Schrock desk so that we can get connected up. So Carolyn, we're working on it right now, no. But we're working on it, Carolyn, and as soon as we have a solution, we'll get right back to you on that. Okay. If you guys have any other questions, here's the place you can post them. Post them in here and let me know. Let's see. Holy cow, building a mini data center in our Papillion Service Center. I can't call it a data center because technically if you call it a data center, there are all kinds of federal regulations about, you know, how many inches must be this and how many feet away must be that, and there must be a oxygen removing system in the room that puts out fires by sucking all the oxygen out of the room, things that I really don't want to spend money on. So it's a server room that we call the mini data center. Just saved $500,000. Semantics, precision of language. But no, I mean, it's still expensive. We just got the quote back to put the electrical in. It was like 4 times more than I expected. That's what happens when you're putting 400 amps in a room. But dang, that was a lot. We had to put a new meter on the wall. I've never had to do that. Usually when we move into a bay, the developer already has the panel on the wall. It's hooked up to the meter. All that stuff is done by the time we get there. And we're just doing the interior build out. Well, wow. Now we're like, well, shoot, how are we going to do this? And so we got to get it. The HVAC guys are coming in. They're going to do the ceiling penetrations and get all the fans in place and make sure all of our HVAC is pulling in nice, cool air to cool all the equipment down. It's an ordeal. I have a lot of pictures, and when the project is done, I'll post all the pictures for you so that you can see the construction of this room. But if right now, if you go into the Papillion Service Center, when you walk in the door, take a big, deep breath, and you can smell the freshly cut wood. Because, yeah, we built it out of wood. All right, I'm interested in the battery backup, but will be unable to come to the store or receive package shipments for several weeks. Will you offer a certificate for the sale price? All right, Scott, here's what you want to do. We don't have a certificate or anything like that, but there's a better way to do it. If you go to our website at schrockinnovations.com, you click on shop and then go to specials, you'll see the battery backup there. It's the APC battery backup. If you click on that, you can buy it. And when it asks you for the shipping options, just select pick up in the service center. And then basically we'll hold it for 30 days before we start to be like, hey, is this guy coming in? And then if you call us and say, hey, I'll be in, I'm just out of town for another week, it's not a problem. We'll hold on to it for you. But just buy it online and select pick up in store. It'll ask you what store. You can say Omaha, Papillion, Lincoln, wherever you want to pick it up, and you'll be good to go. Yeah, the battery backups, guys, that was like a last minute, like I was resigned. I was like, I'm just going to have to do a stupid, boring, like surge protector sale. This is going to suck. Like, it's not exciting. It's not fun. It's not going to make your computer run faster or make your hair, shinier or, improve your complexion. It's a surge protector. It sits under the desk. It collects dust. You don't look at it. You don't think about it until you have to replace it. That's it. So then I was literally sitting there at the table and I was like telling the lovely Kimberly how frustrated I was that I couldn't think of any. Oh my gosh, I got it. And she just looks at me, she's like, oh no. Anything that pops into your head that quick, that's a oh no. I'm like, no, we could do battery backups. And so I start looking at the prices of battery backups, because the problem that we have, the reason that we didn't launch this sale on the 1st, like May 1st, was because we didn't have the backup prices nailed down. We buy them in quantity, and so it takes time for me to go and approach like a vendor and say, hey, I want to buy, I think we ended up buying 30 of the battery backups. Nobody buys 30 battery backups, okay? So that's a huge quantity for battery backups. So we bought 30 of them because I didn't know how it was going to go. Like, are people going to want the battery backup? I find them incredibly useful for when the power goes out, because even if your power just blinks, think about how long it takes your cable modem and your router to reboot. And then sometimes when they reboot, they don't work. You have to reboot them in a certain order. You have to bring up the cable modem and then let it get all the way booted. Then you bring up the wireless router. You don't plug them in at the same time, or that doesn't work. If you have a battery backup hooked up to your modem and your router and they just don't turn off, is that not the best solution? Now, here's the thing. I didn't go into this on the program because too much technical stuff, and it may even be too technical for the AfterSchrock. The protector disconnect surge protectors offer 1,800 joules of protection, which is more than adequate for what you need. Battery backups are notorious for offering surge protection, but when you look under the hood and you look at what you're getting, it's not a lot. And these battery backups are not great surge protectors. They offer 180 joules of protection. 80 joules more than the Ace Hardware example I used in the monologue. The thing is, the battery itself will last up to 5 years. So the problem is people don't replace their battery backups because of the battery. They want that power. So what happens with modern surge protectors now is it routes the surges through the ground line for the most part. That's why you don't want to daisy chain surge protectors together, because it'll take the surge here, burn up the filament, send the rest through the ground wire. Then it'll hit the next one and burn up the filament and send it through the ground wire. You actually don't get any improved protection. You don't get 1,800 joules plus 180 of protection. You just get 1,800 joules. That's it. So what I do at my house is I have my battery backup that I bought, and I bought the expensive one. We can get ones that are more expensive than this, but for the sale, this is perfect for most home users, okay? My computer is running on it too, and I want my computer to run for 4 hours, so I bought the $700 one for my house. So you can spend a lot on a battery backup. $89.99 is ridiculously cheap for a good battery backup, especially by APC. Buy the surge protector, plug the surge protector into one of the surge protected the battery backup outlets. This doesn't mean you can plug in a ton of stuff to this surge protector and have it expect it all to stay up and running during a power outage. The more stuff you put on the battery backup, the less time you have. There's a direct relationship. We even put the graph on the website. If you go to SchrockInnovations.com, go to Shop and Specials, there's a graph there that shows you if at this many watts, your battery will last this long. If you put a 300-watt desktop on there, which would basically be like a Venture, if you put a Venture computer on this, it's going to last 2 minutes. So it's good for power blinks, and that's it. So that gives you an idea. It'll keep your internet stuff up for 4 hours, but the computer itself, you don't want to do that with a desktop unless that's the only computer you have and you want it to be up for 2 minutes. Or if you're working on stuff and you want a battery backup so if the power blinks, you don't lose your work. That's ideal as well. So basically I would get both and I would hook them together. Now on the battery backup, the surge protector, every outlet is a surge protector. On the battery backup, there are 6 outlets. 4 of the outlets are battery backup and surge protection, and 2 of the outlets are just surge protection, no battery backup. When you go to plug things into the battery backup, if you want them to be on when the power is out, be sure to plug them into the battery backup outlets, not the ones that are just surge protection, or they'll just turn off when the power goes out. Great way you can test your battery backup. If you have one at home right now and you want to see how good it is or how long it'll last in the event of an emergency, do a test. Battery backups take about 8 hours to fully charge. So I would leave it plugged in for 24 hours and then pull the power plug out of the wall and see how long your stuff stays on. Test complete. Okay. Power surge killed your modem router. Yeah, Scott, they will blow them up. They will definitely blow. Modems and routers are so fragile. The modern routers, like the TP-Link routers, they are computers. They literally have ARM processors in them. They have memory. It's like a little computer, and it takes surges, and it gets hit just like any other device does. The worst part is if you get a surge that hits your modem, it can go through the network cable into the router as well and blow it up that way. So you really want to make sure you have both the modem and the network at least hooked up to a surge protector, if not a battery backup, just to make sure it stays up and running and on. During severe weather season, it's a special feeling when everyone in the neighborhood stuff is down and you're the only one on Facebook. It's like the rapture. Where's everybody? Then you're posting to the neighborhood group and they're like, everyone's like, my phone battery is about to die. And you're like, I'm on Wi-Fi. It's just fun. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like that. Who knows? All right, guys. Last call for questions before we wrap it up for the afternoon here. Last call for questions. Oh, what else do we got for the show? Let me see what I didn't cover. I made a list of things to be sure I covered. Lincoln update, got that. Surge protectors, battery backups, endpoint, got that. Secure Updater, we talked about that. I mean, you guys know what Secure Updater is. If you don't know what Secure Updater is, say, I don't know what that is, and I'll talk about it. Drive Advisor, say, I don't know what Drive Advisor is, and I'll talk about it. Those 2 things, Secure Updater, Drive Advisor, tell me if you don't know what they are. Don't be afraid to speak up. Just post a little comment here on Facebook, and then I'll give you the spiel on it and let you know what they are. Drive Advisor is free. You don't pay for that at all. And so if you're not running Drive Advisor on your computer, you really should be. Modular PCs, we touched on that during the show. Data recovery, we touched on that. Didn't touch on website design and development. Hey, we do that, and we do it cheap. We charge $1,500 to build a website. Our counterparts in town charge anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 for the same site, and we'll finance it for you over 3 years with no interest. Why on earth do we do that? Everything we do at Schrock is based on long-term customer relationships. That's why we do warranties that are completely refundable. So if you don't use the warranty, you get your money back. And if you do use the warranty, when we call you back to renew it, because when you get that call, it's time to renew your computer's extended warranty, sir, we can actually say, it's time to renew your computer's extended warranty. Last time you paid $125 for your extended warranty, and it saved you $400 this year. Are you sure you don't want to do that again? Keep in mind, if you don't use it in the coming year, we will give you your money back. So you'll get another call like this at the end of the year saying, we might owe you money, and then we'll flip your warranty over so it'll roll forward. So eventually you'll use it, or you'll just apply it toward a new computer or an endpoint renewal or something down the line with a gift card. This is the biggest no-brainer on the face of the earth. And like my employees, they're like, This is like when I have a new employee, this is the first thing we teach them how to sell because they're like, that's stupid. And we're like, okay, once you understand that we do that different, that we're that different with how we do warranties, that our the purpose of our extended warranties is to retain customers, is to make sure that you have absolutely no reason to go anywhere else. That's why we do it. It's not to make money. That's the purpose of Square Trade. That's the purpose of. Would you like the $14 protection plan on your Avengers Endgame DVD, sir? No, I don't want the $14 protection plan on a DVD. Thank you very much. You know, whatever. This is different. And once we teach our guys that, then they're like, okay, what else is different? And then it kind of perks them up and they listen to everything else. I have an employee who's been with us for 90 days, and I told him this the other day. I'm like, gosh, I can't believe people don't buy the warranty when it's refundable. I mean, we're literally like, you get your money back if you don't use it, and if you do use it, you save money. It's a win-win. And he's like, I didn't know that. Lovely Kimberly, of course, is like, Thorpe, it would be good if we had like a training day where we shut like a shop down and brought all the staff together and like had a training day where we just went through just a general culture revival, little sales role playing, making sure that everybody keeps everybody, do you have endpoint? Do you have secure updater? Is Drive Advisor running? Do you have a warranty? These are all things we do to protect you. If you don't have those things, that's cool, but make sure the customer decides not to have them. And I'm like, I don't want to shut down the shop for a day for something like that, blah, blah, blah. And then I have this employee tell me that, and I'm like, why does she always have to be right? Everything. Gosh. But I'm not shutting the shop down. I'll bring in one person from another shop to at least answer the phones because I'm not going to shut the shop down for a day so we can have a training day. Not going to happen. All right. Let me see if there's any other questions here. Yep. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, lovely Kimberly. This battery backup will not power your sump pump. This one is only 425 volt amps. That one on the sump pump is 3 times more powerful. That was the old one that we had on our computer before I bought the really big one, like the rack mountable one. And it's enough to run the sump pump like 3 pumps, like zoop, zoop, zoop. And that shoots a lot of water out of a sump pump. But when you're taking water and the power's out, it's good to have something on a sump pump like that. All right, Richard, I have a 32 gig laptop. I've always used USB storage devices for upgrades. I don't know how I can get 1903 without it. Yeah, I hear you, Richard. This is gonna be a nasty for people who have 32 gig storage devices. You can't have an SD card. You can't have a USB device. In the service center, we usually install this with a USB device. So literally what we're going to do in the service center now is we're going to put it on the server and we're going to pull it over the network and run it over the network. It's stupid. So that's what I would do at home if I was you. If you have another computer, you can set up a little home network, put it on the other computer, pull it over the network to run it on your computer because it's not going to install. You need to have 10 gigs available to run this update. So if you can free up 10 gigs on your hard drive, you'll be good to go. If you can't get to 10 gigs, then you won't be able to run the update. So you might have to move everything off of the laptop, run the update, and then move everything back on. Huge pain in the rear. Also, those 32 gig laptops, those typically do not have removable storage. So what that means is it's baked into the board, and so you can't change it or do anything with it, unfortunately. Mary, you are super excited. You're excited about the surge protector battery. I'm glad, Mary, because I was just like, no one's going to be excited about this. But the battery backup is kind of like, ooh, I never thought of that. It's like, if you've ever had a cat and you rearrange the furniture in the house and the cat comes around the corner and the cat's like, whoa, wow. And they run around and they jump on everything because they're mapping the whole environment again. It's kind of like that, right? I mean, it's like surge protector, yeah, whatever. And then, ooh, battery backup. What could I do with a battery backup? This is what happened in our house when I brought home a 4-pack of these things. They're called Tantan smart outlets. And you can set them up with your Alexa or whatever, and you can run them from your phone, and you can set schedules. But I have nothing in my house that I need to have a smart outlet for. There's nothing that I need to turn on or turn off on a schedule. There's nothing that I need to be able to activate with my voice, whatever. So I brought them home, and I'm like, okay, there are these things called Sensies. Ladies, you know what the Sensies are, right? It's the little warmer that melts the wax in the little cup, and it smells foofy, right? It smells pretty. Well, the thing is, you're not supposed to run those continuously. You're supposed to run them for about a half an hour or 45 minutes and then turn them off. You want to melt the wax, which releases the aroma. And then as the wax hardens, it continues to release aroma. If you leave them on all the time, it releases all the aroma at one time, and then they're just a bucket of wax you keep melting every day. That looks pretty. So you really only want to run them for 45 minutes. But wow, if you have nothing better to do in your life than to like, time to turn on the Scentsy. Oh, time to turn off the Scentsy. You know, wow, smart switch. Turns it on in the morning for 45 minutes right before we wake up. So you come down and it smells all fresh and nice. And it turns on after dinner. You know, after you're done cooking and everything, it's all smelling fresh and nice again. And then it turns it off. Wow, that's pretty cool. So we set up the Scentsys on those things. And my wife, she was impressed, sort of, maybe, but not like, wow, you're the most amazing man I've ever met in my life. How do you have these amazing capabilities of turning Scentsys on and off? It wasn't like that. But then all of a sudden, she was like, you know, I need to start some seedlings for the garden. And she got a light, basically. I'm like, Kim, what's going on here? She's buying grow lights at the hardware store, you know. Putting grow lights in the basement, honey? Is there something we need to talk about? She's like, no, I want to start seedlings. I'm like, oh, of course, you know, because that makes sense. I don't know what you were thinking. But wow, the sun doesn't stay on 24 hours a day. And oh, you know what? You remember when you're up on the second floor that in the basement you forgot to turn off the seedling light. Isn't it handy to have it on a schedule or be able to turn it on and off from your phone? All of a sudden you start coming up with things. Would be nice to have that on us. You know, we have one of those big 18-foot above ground pools in the backyard, and it's got a pump on it, right? Wouldn't it be great to be able to turn the pool pump on and off on a schedule so it doesn't have to run all the time? Or if you want it to run all the time, you can just turn it on from your phone or from Alexa or whatever. Wow, pretty cool stuff. You start coming up with things to put on smart outlets, like the lamps by the kid's bed. Have you ever told your kid, okay, my son has a serious reading problem. He reads and reads and reads and reads, and my wife loves it. Except he always wants to read instead of going to sleep. And he'll read the same book over and over and over so he doesn't have to go to sleep. And sometimes we have to go in there and literally tell him, dude, it's lights out. Time for night-night. Go to sleep. Wouldn't it be great from your phone if you could be like, lights out? Yeah. Wow, right? Tan. They were $25 for 4 of them. They're a little bit of a pain to set up, but once you get the hang of it, they're pretty easy. But yeah, they're all indoor. There's other companies that make outdoor ones. So like if you have lights on your deck and you want to turn them on at night and turn them off during the day, perfect. You just plug it right in and then you plug into the outlet. It's an outlet that plugs into the outlet that's a switch. Think about Christmas lights, guys. This is going to revolutionize how you do Christmas lights later on. You're going to think back, Thor was talking about something, and the Tans are not all weather. Don't put the Tans outside. But if you search on Amazon, you'll find like outdoor smart switch, and you'll find one. But anyway, that was a heck of a rant. But yeah, smart switches, good stuff. Okay, I don't see any other questions posted here, guys. So I think we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate you watching the AfterSchrock today. I appreciate you listening to the program. Please make sure that you click the follow button. It's different than the like button. The follow button will alert you when we do a live broadcast. I don't use these for marketing. I don't use live broadcasts to push like the big next sale. When you get a live broadcast from Schrock Innovations, it's either going to be one of the radio shows or it's going to be like, hey, Microsoft just released 1903. It's time to move now. Go. Go. That's what it's going to be. All right. Do you upload these shows to iHeartRadio for podcast? We sure do. Well, actually, Scott does. So yes, they're all on iHeart for podcast. Last week there was a switch in here that failed, or a router or something that failed, so their internet was down for a few days. So it was a little bit late last week. But yes, the podcasts are available on iHeartRadio. They're also available on our website at SchrockInnovations.com. You can listen to them there. You can watch the Facebook shows there as well. Also, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. And it'll automatically deliver it to your Apple device for you as well. So there's lots of different ways you can listen to the show if you miss it. All right. Have a great weekend, or what's left of it, guys. We'll talk to you again next week, and we'll see you in the service center where you're picking up your surge protectors and your battery backups. I only ordered 30 of the battery backups because I wasn't sure how it was going to go. It's looking like I probably should have ordered more than 30. I'll be placing another order on Monday, I think. All right, guys, have a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon.